For our learning target, I can identify the principles of art and how they can be shown in pictures through photography. For our art attack, art around us, the principles of art, examples, remember, reminders. Observe and describe each picture. As you see these photos, there are things we observe in them that are obvious and identifiable. These photos show meaning and message as to how we can take good photos and generate ideas on what our theme and topic will be that we want to capture. Your observations talk about the different principles of art that are applied in photography. Let's find out more about it. The principles of art. Do you know that art can be seen everywhere and anywhere? We can observe it by how we see things around us, whether it is naturally created or designed or arranged for an organization. That's why it is not really difficult to see art around us, most especially if we are more aware of its principles. It will be easier for us to understand designs and determine art by deeply understanding each principle, and by learning how these principles are shown. It can be your best guide and target in taking the best photos wherever you are and whichever device you use. Let's learn and find out the different principles of art that can also be applied in photography. Understand each of them, how they differ from one another, and how we can achieve it. This will also help you in doing our task. Contrast may be shown using complementary colors or emphasizing differences using light and dark color. The contrast in photography is the visual ratio of different tones in an image. This difference is what creates the textures, highlights, shadows, colors, and clarity in a photograph. Tonal contrast refers to the difference in bright and dark areas in a photo. This composition is what makes the subjects within the photo appear defined or undefined through the differentiated details due to the contrast of blacks, whites, and grays. High contrast has a wide range of tones full of blacks and whites with dark shadows and bright highlights. These images will have intense colors and deep textures, creating very profound end results. Think of a photo taken in the bright sunlight. Low contrast blends light and dark areas, creating a more flat or soft photo. There are hardly any highlights and shadows, and the images are composed mostly in shades of gray. This dullness in the composition of lights and darks will mute the colors in the image. Think of a photo taken on a foggy morning. Color contrast has to do with how colors interact with one another, where they lie on the color wheel. Think of a landscape shot. The dull colors are lower in contrast and the vibrant colors are higher in contrast. This composition is what creates the mood of the image. You can warm an image up by bringing out the reds and yellows, or make an image more cold by bringing out the blues and greens. Emphasis, a part of the work that stands out, in order to show focus on the object or subject. Unity is taking the parts of a piece of art and unifying them into something better as a whole. Harmony, a consistent, orderly, or pleasing arrangement of parts. Balance, arrangement of the elements in a piece so that there is equality from one side to the other. Symmetrical balance, also called formal balance. Symmetrical balance is the most common way to photograph an image. In symmetrically balanced photos, both sides of the frame have equal weight and may even mirror each other. Asymmetrical balance. Asymmetrical balance occurs when you have different visual images on either side of a design. and yet the image still seems balanced. To be considered asymmetrical, a design needs to have unequal visual weight on either side, but those unequal visuals need to balance each other. Lastly, pattern or rhythm. Repeating an element that will cause the viewer's eye to move around to each element. So once again, here are the principles of art. Contrast. It is the visual ratio of different tones in an image. This difference is what creates the textures, highlights, shadows, colors, and clarity in a photograph. Emphasis. A part of the work that stands out, in order to show focus on the object or subject. Unity is taking the parts of a piece of art and unifying them into something better as a whole. Harmony. A consistent, orderly, or pleasing arrangement of parts. Balance. Arrangement of the elements in a piece so that there is equality from one side to the other. And rhythm. Repeating an element that will cause the viewer's eye to move around to each element. What is the importance of the principles of art in photography? Art elements and principles of design are applied in photography. This helps the photographer to compose and capture visually pleasing images rather than just recording of the event. Remember that photography is not just about taking photos. It is an opportunity to capture scenes of important and historic events and memories to be kept a lifetime. That's why I always think before you click. And always take good pictures that are sensible, memorable, and friendly. Let's take photos. Please have your camera ready. Take note that you are not required to have or use a DSLR. You can use smartphone cameras or ask permission from your brother or sister, or even your parents to lend you a camera. If you don't really have a camera, kindly send me a message via Genio so that I can guide you. For our enrichment activity, take photos that show the principles of art at home. Attach your work in MS Word and convert it as a PDF file when you submit it. Label and explain how you achieved each principle. See sample. Submit your work in the assignment part of this learning package entitled The Principles of Art Through Photography. Take note. The pictures you have taken will be used for our product and performance task making starting next week. Pictures I have taken at home using my smartphone's camera. Note: avoid editing your photo. You can also arrange objects or create the principles through setups and arrangements.